Our country has been besieged by poor leadership for many years now, resulting from our failure to choose our leader that will lead us in overcoming the various socio-economic issues that are plaguing our country. Poverty, institutional reform, graft and corruption, and environmental degradation. When will we ever learn to choose the right leader to run the affairs of our country? When will we ever know how to cast a thoughtful vote and not to be bought or to be fooled by the use of media on their political campaign? When will we ever discover a reasoned conscience and accountability to deal with in casting our vote?
Much so that we Filipinos will once again go to the polls and select the next president. And according to statistics, majority of the voters is comprised by young Filipinos aged between 18 to 40 years old. Many candidates are studying ways by which they will be able to reach this so-called youth vote, which actually makes or breaks a presidential candidate.
Today, many of us young Filipinos are looking for an inspirational leaders who continue to live out an ethical and moral way of life amidst graft and corruption practices that are prevailing in our government systems.
Yes, indeed. And great leader is the product of the need of the time, like our great leaders, Bonifacio, General Gregorio Del Pilar, and the many others.
That's true, Johnafe, where lately the United States of America was carving for change.
Yes, we have seen Barack Obama's inspiring leadership that had on the young people in the United States of America, wherein record number of these young Americans went out to register and vote for him.
Yes, if only our young people can see a person that is worth supporting. And I am sure that there's no need to take an extra effort to convince them to vote because they will gonna do so on their own volition. Unfortunately, at this present time, it is impossible for us to look for a candidate who is both ethical and effective for our country.
Today, we are getting a picture of the candidates for the 2010 elections. They appear to be ready to lead the country to greatness, as some politicians pose as product endorsers for television and as advocates for pro-poor programs such as cheap medicines, livelihood, and assistance to OFWs.
There are also those well-meaning groups who package and advertise people as ethical leaders, hoping that they will change our political landscape and our national life for the better.
We are overwhelmed by the lofty promises and sweetened assurances of the seemingly innocent and virtuous people that our country will be better off with a kind of ethical leadership.
Sad to say that we are even clueless if what they are saying is true or not. We should be cautious, much so that politics had changed its meaning. It's no longer the art of governance, but the art of not telling the truth.
Worst, we will only know the truth after elections if they are sincere leaders who have the heart to truly care for us and the country, which by then may prove otherwise.
Aside from knowing the candidates, it is important that we know how to choose the best leaders. For the suffering plaguing our country is generally caused by us, having elected not the right kind of leaders.
Yes, For rather than working for our aspirations and hopes as a people, these elected leaders use their positions to enrich themselves and their supporters.
This is aggravated by the kind of government we have that continues to condone and perpetuate graft and corruptions at all levels.
These have compromised effectiveness of several democratic institutions such as the Commission on Elections and the Office of the Ombudsman.
This have caused people to start losing their hope in our government and our political system, and calls to be more vigilant and looking for a leader that is first and foremost ethical and morally upright.
Indeed, we need a righteous leader, more than a leader with a doctorate in public administration. It seems that we have often looked at the competencies of a leader we elect, while failing to check whether or not they have a genuine heart to serve our countrymen.
We at HDI are not saying that competencies and skills are not important. But with the kind of situation that we are in right now, our next president should have the strength of character and the unceasing will to battle the growing corruptions found in our government.
We at HDI Corps of Volunteers believe that leadership skills can easily be learned, while the characteristics and principles, whether good or bad, cannot easily be changed.
Thus, we should vote intelligently and with conscience if we have to avoid an ineffectual government and forestall influx of corrupt and shameless leaders.
Once again, this is Jamila Faye Lumactod.
And I am Johnafe Daniel.
And this is Emery Hilayo. Before we end this presentation, let us be reminded that our national hero, Dr. Jose Rizal, has eloquently echoed this statement as a quote. This people does not complain because it has no voice. It does not move because it is lethargic. And you say that it does not suffer because you haven't seen how its heart bleeds. But someday you will see this. You will hear its complaints, and woe unto those who found their strength in ignorance and fanaticism.
And I am Marc Colinares. Let me end this presentation by saying that our country's history, in times of adversities and hopelessness, has been carved by young Filipinos like Andres Bonifacio, Emilio Aguinaldo, and many others. Today's uncertainties present an opportunity for us that comprised of majority of voters to bring out the hero in us and take hold of our country's future by converging and working together to elect a reformed president who will bring a lasting and genuine change for our country.